Live from Rialto, California, Mark Flores presents the Pay-Per-Review Podcast. Tonight's topic, Lucha Underground. Does WWE have something to worry about? It's all culminating live here on the Pay-Per-Review Podcast. Here's your host, Mark Flores. Hey guys, welcome to another great episode of the Paper Review Podcast. I am your host, Mark Flores. Tonight's topic is going to be about Lucha Underground and why I think that WWE needs to be paying close attention to what they're doing. There's a lot of similar characteristics. There's a lot of differences. Tonight I'll go over a few of them and get you a little bit more up to speed on why WWE should be a little more worried about what's going on over there at the El Rey Network. But beforehand, let's get ready with the commercials. Tonight's Pay-Per-Review Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by Game Swappers. Game Swappers. Buy, sell, and trade your retro games and next-gen consoles. It's Xbox One and PS4. You could come into contact with Game Swappers via Instagram at GAMESWAPPERS. That's GAMESWAPPERS. Game Swappers. Buy, sell, and trade. Keep in mind, guys, that this Saturday, Game Swappers is going to have the Retro Respect event at the Finish Line Sports Bar and Grill, located at the Fairplex in Pomona, California. Please contact Game Swappers for more information regarding the event. There's going to be over 20 competitive games. Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Street Fighter, and the like. There's going to be happy hour all night and drink specials as well. And it's only a $10 admission with 18 and over. Other than that, if you do share any iteration of the Pay-Per-Review Wrestling Podcast, or the Retro Collecting 101 Podcast, or the Mark and Andre Show, you'll be able to get 10% off towards your retro game purchases, or you'll get 10% more towards your retro game trade-ins. Simply screenshot, share, and then show proof to Game Swappers, and we'll take care of you accordingly. Anyway, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of this podcast tonight. The last few weeks I was watching wrestling on YouTube more than usual. The style of wrestling I was watching a lot more was the Lucha Libre variety. I was watching AAA, and I was watching the Cruiserweight division of WCW on the WWE Network. I was watching Juventud Guerrera, Psychosis, Rey Mysterio, Conan, watching all these guys, and La Parca as well. I was watching all these guys, and watching these matches with this talent in there got me thirsty for a more current version of Lucha Libre. I needed more. I needed a wrestling promotion that fed the nourishment for my hunger of Hurricane Ranas, the Tilt-A-Whirl backbreakers, and the like. The type of excitement you get watching Lucha Libre, to bring a good example of it. Imagine an F1 racer, an F1 race car, just going full throttle 100% of the time, never taking a break. It's exactly what Lucha Libre is. Lucha Libre is more on the moveset. It's more moveset dense. There's a lot less ring psychology. There's a lot less ring psychology simply because there's, most of the talent that does Lucha Libre wears masks. There's a lot less ring psychology because you can't demonstrate, emotion without having your face available to see. A great example would be when Sami Zayn was, for a little while, El Generico. It was hard for people to see that he has a very emotional face and that he wears his heart on his sleeve, but due to the fact that we're able to see him without his mask, his ring psychology definitely increases a lot, and it's actually a lot more prevalent, and we're able to see a lot more. Being without the mask actually does help. The questions that go through my mind all like crazy of the situation is, who is the heir apparent to Rey Mysterio Jr.? Who shares the likeness and characteristics to the luchadors of my time? I haven't found the answer, mainly because now I've changed the question. Each luchador I've seen now, like the ones before, have all different identities. Every one of them is like a wrestling snowflake. One is not like the other. I was watching YouTube and I found the Lucha Underground YouTube channel, the El Rey Network channel, and I was immediately intrigued. There's a lot of great things going on with Lucha Underground that I can definitely get aboard on. There's gritty cinematography, a lot more storylines, intense camera perspectives when they build up vignettes and cutscenes. There's an awesome locale in Los Angeles. The temple is a place that looks like it's straight out of the Rocky movie, the first scene in the Rocky movie. One of the main reasons that I enjoy Lucha Underground is the amount of immense talent Lucha Underground has. They have Pentagon Jr., Johnny Mundo, who was formerly John Morrison with WWE, Prince Puma, who is Ricochet as well, and Dragon Azteca Jr. All of these wrestlers are independent of their own movesets and identities. Respectively, each one of these guys are great to see live. And with the great camera angles that Lucha Underground actually has, you're able to take each match to a different. Each match is elevated to a different perspective. There's a lot of different tones every match has with the cinematography. A Prince Puma versus Pentagon Jr. match may not be the same. May not have the same perspectives as a Johnny Mundo and a Dragon Azteca Jr. match might have. So, Lucha Underground is a company that will have a bunch of 5-star matches and will quickly gain more traction. We will see where these guys take the bar standard, because a bunch of these guys have, set the bar so high already. The thing that WWE needs to watch out for is that they need to make sure that they have to do what they can to elevate their product. As long as WWE elevates their product, Lucha Underground will have to do nothing but keep up, because as of right now, in terms of overall standard, they are, third place in popularity right now. And the only reason I say that is that WWE ranks the top, of course. New Japan Pro Wrestling I can't really associate with the American wrestling product. I'm strictly speaking solely on the American wrestling product. So we have WWE at the top. Then we have TNA still barely holding on to second place. Mainly because Matt and Jeff Hardy recently went crazy with the Brother Nero storyline. So that's taken them to another. That's taken TNA to a certain popularity for a little bit longer, if you will. And then third place, I'd have to say Lucha Underground's there as well. Lucha Underground isn't that far behind from TNA. All they have to do, in my opinion, is get a bigger venue, make sure they actually contract their stars for longer periods of time. I remember for a little bit they only kept Alberto Del Rio for a short amount of time. The one thing that goes with that as well, along with the point of that they need to actually contract their stars a lot longer, is that a lot of their wrestling talent are able to move to independent shows whenever they want. Now that has more risk to it than reward. The wrestlers can get sidetracked and get persuaded to go to other promotions. The wrestlers can get injured at those independent shows. So those are the only things to worry about as far as Lucha Underground goes as well. It's something to mention, it's just really something to mention about it. But overall, I do enjoy Lucha Underground's product. It is something to be watching out for, and hopefully we get to see something come out of it in the next couple years, something very, very impactful, something to the extent of it being rivaling that of TNA and WWE, like at a very, very intense rivalry. Anyway, I want to get on to my next surprise topic that I had for you guys. Brock Lesnar post UFC 200. What does Brock do from here? In context of what Brock Lesnar did against Mark Hunt at UFC 200, I personally saw the match. I thought it was a great match. I thought Brock Lesnar did what he had to do in the terms of keeping his opponent in a wrestling defensive mindset, to watch out for the grapples, to watch out for the shoots, to initiate the ground game. Mark Hunt is only focused on knocking his opponents out, is only a boxer to a certain extent. So the match went Brock Lesnar's way because he was able to initiate more of a ground game and keep Mark Hunt away with the punches. What I can expect Brock Lesnar to do these next couple years this next year leading up to WrestleMania season when his contract expires, we'll see this. What I think is that he's not going to be losing. He's not going to be losing any kind of matches in WWE anytime soon. They have to build on the momentum of what he did in the UFC. They have to. They cannot let the machine of Brock Lesnar, as far as his popularity in WWE goes, they can't let that lose any steam. They may put the title on him again. And with him making almost $9 million for just that one night, WWE has to do a lot more to re-sign him with a huge deal, with kind of like a UFC WWE hybrid deal where he actually is contracted to do a couple more UFC matches during the time he actually is with the contract. What we didn't know while he was under contract, while he was currently under contract with WWE this time around, is that he was able to do a UFC match without a hitch, without any problem to it. I mean, he basically got what he wanted out of the whole contract signing. So that's something to be very observant about. You will see the same lines repeated again when it comes time to re-sign Brock Lesnar. WWE will be foolish not to keep him on the roster for now. He still can go in the ring. He's still very strong. He's still freakishly strong. So this is something that we definitely need to see build up in the long run. But my expert assumption is that Brock Lesnar will stay with WWE with a hefty payday. He might make near as much as John Cena does, just because of his huge $8 million payday he made for UFC 200. And I want to say that they're going to get the title back on him some way or another, because there's going to be 2 titles available after the brand split, so that's going to be something to watch out for. Anyway, I just want to wrap up this pay-per-view wrestling podcast update with the commercials. Today's pay-per-view wrestling podcast is brought to you by Game Swappers. Game Swappers. Buy, sell, and trade your retro games and next-gen consoles. That's Xbox One and PS4. You can come into contact with Game Swappers via Instagram at GAMESWAPPERS. That's GAMESWAPPERS. Game Swappers. Buy, sell, and trade. The Retro Respect event is going to be happening Saturday. This coming Saturday at around, I believe it's 6 or 8 o'clock. Contact Game Swappers for more info on that. But it's going to be held at the Finish Line Sports Grill over in on White Avenue in Pomona at the Fairplex. There's going to be 20 plus competitive based games all over several screens, so that's going to be something to look out for to see. It's going to be a great event. I already seen the location and the venue set, and it's a really professional setting. The screens look great. The screens have very vibrant color. It's going to be a great thing to actually go in there with $10 and be there at the event to actually see something go down and watch people play games. One more thing, guys. If you guys do share the podcast, the Pay-Per-View Wrestling podcast, or the Retro Collecting 101 podcast, or the Mark and Andre Show podcast, you'll be entitled to get a discount with Game Swappers towards your retro game purchases. Simply share and you'll get 10% off towards your retro games. Or if you're not in the interest of sharing your games, all you have to do is share and you'll get 10% more towards your retro game trade-ins. Trade in your PS2 games, your Xbox games, your GameCube games, and everything else retro. You'll be able to take it and give you some store credit on that. Anyway, guys, you guys have a good night. Thank you for tuning in to the Lucha Underground. Does WWE have anything to worry about portion of the Pay-Per-View Wrestling podcast? You guys have a good night. Thank you.